Up here in about 6 o'clock, mine's 5 minutes off, but here it's 6 o'clock. That's good enough. 6 o'clock. Thank you for being here, ladies and gentlemen. This is Payson City Council meeting for February 19th, 2025. And as I mentioned, it's 6 o'clock. We'd like to again call this meeting to order and open this meeting with prayer. Chief Scott Spencer volunteered to say the opening prayer. Old habits.
Our Father in heaven, we humbly bow our heads this evening, give you thanks for all it does for us and for the freedoms which we enjoy living in the United States and in our local community. We have great citizens and the friendship and the volunteerism we have here. We ask the Lord watch over this meeting and bless us and guide us and direct us and inspire our mayor and council as they make decisions for our city. It will be the best things that help improve and grow our city and for our citizens. And we're thankful for the blessings we have. And we say these things humbly in the name of my son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Okay, gentlemen, if you will, I'll take care of the pledge of allegiance. Please stand. I will read as it appears. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll go ahead and move to the consent agenda. Approval of the February 5th, 2025 City Council minutes. Council, if there's not any discussion, I'm ready for a motion.
Mayor, I motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Okay, we have a motion and seconded. Roll call vote, starting with Council Hyatt.
Yes.
Council Moss.
Yes.
Council Rowley.
Yes.
Council Christensen.
Yes.
Before we go any further, I'd like to excuse Council Hewitt. He's on a family vacation. He didn't invite me either. Okay, moving on. D, petitions. Payson presentation of youth city council member and oath of office. I guess I'll be doing that oath of office. Is there anything you'd like to say, Councilor?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm excited to see 2 new members of our youth city council. It's getting bigger slowly but surely. I'm grateful that now we have some men in the council as well, because I was feeling pretty outnumbered before. So thank you guys for being part of this. This will be exciting. We've already done some fun things, so I look forward to doing some more.
The new members will be Ezekiel Andrew and Gabriel Andrew. If you come up the front, we'll swear you in. If you'd raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear. Or affirm. That I will support and obey and defend. The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the State of Utah.
The Constitution of the State of Utah.
And the laws and ordinances of Payson City.
And the laws and ordinances of Payson City.
And that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
And that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
One more city council. Come on, Sarah. Come on up.
Councilman Payson. Okay, moving on to number 2, Chamber Business Employee or Community Service Award. Diane?
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here tonight. This is a really fun presentation to give. Just reading up on this award winner was really a great time. So Jim wrote this, so it's long, but I will be fast. Tonight, I'm really excited to announce our most recent winner of the Chamber Community Service Award. It's presented to Jenny Staley, and I invite her to come up and join me as I share a few reasons why she's so deserving of this award, as many of you know. Jenny is an English and history teacher at Payson High School and has been teaching for the past 6 years. She's influenced the lives of hundreds of students in those 6 years, but she will be forever known as the person whose incredible efforts brought Kevin Bacon back to Payson High School. And if you search Jenny's name and Payson High School on Google, you won't scroll very far before you see her linked to Kevin Bacon and Footloose. It's wonderful to read her heartfelt comments about her dedication to this project. Jenny's hard work and commitment have not gone unnoticed, and it's inspiring to see how much impact you've made in our community. Jenny and her team of students pulled off what many said would be impossible, getting Kevin Bacon to return to Payson High School for the 40th anniversary of Footloose, the summer blockbuster of 1984, and a culturally iconic movie. Was anybody here in the movie?
Scott was Kevin Bacon's dancing double.
Wow, that's impressive.
Why the troll car was.
That's impressive too. Jenny's leadership taught our students and the students around the globe that when you come together with a goal and a vision, you can make anything happen. She had to guide her students, but mostly she had to stay out of their way and let them lead. Sometimes that's the hardest part of working with the youth. Jenny's an amazing educator, leader, and inspiration to her students. Not only did they get the attention of Kevin Bacon, but the entire world. A public relations firm hired by the Utah Film Commission shared these impressive data points with the school on the morning that the news broke on NBC's Today Show. So this is how far and wide Payson High School and Kevin Bacon went. So internationally, there were 1,057 mentions. The potential reach was 2,420,000 people internationally. And it was estimated the value for this much attention is almost 3 times the cost of this year's Super Bowl commercials. That's really impressive. Nationally, they had 852 mentions. Potential reach was $1,683,000. And the estimated media value, or potential reach with people, estimated media value was $15,566,000. And locally, there were 67 mentions. Potential reach was $19,780,000, and the estimated media value was $183,000. So that was a lot of work to get all of those notices internationally and locally.
That's not to mention the local support as well.
That's right. And we did have lots of local support. In addition to this media outreach, Jenny and her student council members enlisted donors nationwide and donated money and in-kind items to make 5,000 kits for neighbors in need through Kevin's 6degrees.org charitable organization. It was a very special day, and I'm sure it was a great experience for you as well. Congratulations on receiving our small token of appreciation for all you do for the students and our communities. So.
So I want to thank the chamber for this. This was actually a surprise, coming as it did a little bit after we were done with our campaign, but it really was just a fantastic experience to it's not overstating the case really to say for about a week or two, Payson High School is the most famous high school in the world. And that's something I think everybody here can be really, really proud of. Because I feel every day like Payson High School is the best high school in the world, the students that we get to work with and the people that are kind of on our team. So I feel like this is really a reflection of that, the support that we had from the administration of the school, from the students, from the local community. I know that several of you in the room kind of lived this journey on the sidelines with us as we went through the process. It took us about 1.5 years, 2 years, maybe a little bit longer than that, to kind of plan what we were gonna do and how we were gonna do it and try to make this happen. And along the way, we really got a lot of people who just wanted to help us. They just reached out and I know that the city was one of those entities that really contributed and especially, you know, in the weeks leading up to it, we got a lot of support from you guys. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. But just as far as the outcomes from this, I mean, I know that we got a lot of media attention. I know that was a really cool thing for us all to experience and be a part of. And we have bragging rights now for the rest of forever, you know, really. But honestly, the most rewarding thing for me, and I think for the students that got to be a part of this, I hope I can speak for them, is that, you know, we really got a chance to demonstrate that sometimes it's okay to reach for the impossible, because sometimes you'll be able to get it. And hard work plays into that, and all of the things that, you know, so many lessons that we learned from the unity and the community support and the power of coming together, you can really accomplish something amazing. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time and your help with this project. It's been something that I'm gonna be proud of forever. So.
Jenny would like to get a picture of you with the council.
Perfect, yes. Thank you. Appreciate it. Oh.
Okay, moving on, number 3, public forum. This would be for anyone that would like to speak to us on subjects that are not on the agenda. Please be cognizant of your time and let us know who you are. We'll go to that for Okay, not seeing anyone that is coming up to address us. Is there anything online? Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public forum. We'll move on to number 4, staff reports. Anybody from staff would like to address the council and the general public?
I'm coming back.
Come on back.
I'm just unstaffed now.
That's fine. We'll accept you.
Now if I can find where I put it. So we just wanted to thank the city so much for all of you participating in our gala. It was a really wonderful event and everybody loved, the venue was beautiful, the decorations were beautiful, the entertainment was wonderful, and we appreciated it so much. And so, Anne, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
I just want to congratulate you guys. You guys do an amazing job. The speaker was very inspirational. The food was good. The company was great. The venue, it was a great event this year. Again.
Well, thank you. Thank you for all of you being there. We really appreciate the support that we get from the city. We wanted you to put on your calendars that on Monday, March 17th is our annual bowling event. It's at 6 p.m. at the South County Lanes here in Payson, where we expect the registration to max out at 150 participants, and it's all free to chamber members, which all of you are. The mayor, the city council, and staff are all considered chamber members. And so the link to register is live on the chamber website. So if you can get on and register, you and your family, it's going to be a really fun St. Patrick's Day evening. So we hope you'll all come. Thanks.
Thank you, Diane.
Thanks, Diane.
Okay, any, We got a staff member.
So in case you haven't noticed, we started construction on the library parking lot. Red Pine is back at it again. We had a really great experience with them on Main Street last year, so we're excited to have them doing the library parking lot for us. They've started on Monday. They've already got all the asphalt out and working on the rest of the demo. So hopefully next Monday they'll start digging and working on utilities. The project that Councilman Hewlett got a grant for to help reconstruct some of the Dry Creek Trail where it was failing. We bid that out and got and awarded that to Albertson Concrete and Construction. We've never had them work in town before, so we're kind of excited to see, it's always nice to meet new crews and get experience with new people. So we have the agreement signed with them, so it's just a matter of them getting their bonding and everything in place, and then they can get started on that work as well. Tomorrow, we will open bids for our booster pump station that will allow us to pump water up to the Patterson water tank. Right now, that water tank is fed only by the springs up above it. And so it can feed down into the lower two tanks, but we have no way to fill it if this, for some reason, the springs dry up or there's other issues. So it's a much needed project that we're excited to have going. So we'll open those bids tomorrow. Think that's all I have.
Real
now.
quick question.
Yes, sir.
I know you've had a pre-con. Is there any information on when Maverick will start their building process?
So I actually did talk to the contractor today. They should be starting any day now, with hopefully next week. I think he called me, I had a question about some of the plans and where certain utilities were located and just making sure he knew where everything was. I think his plan is to get out into the road there, not Main Street, but the other one that goes into the WICP buildings and get his utility connections in early so he can get out of the road as quickly as possible and then spend the rest of his time on the building there. So that should be, like I said, starting within the next week.
Wonderful.
Jonathan, what's the estimated completion of the library parking lot? Do you have a time frame?
I would say, hopefully not more than 6 months. It should be, it's a lot easier than Main Street was.
There's still a lot underneath we need to replace.
We're replacing the entire sewer line that's under there. We're relocating the piped portion of the Petite Creek that's there. We're installing a water line back there that's not there right now. So there is quite a bit of work that's going to happen. We're reconstructing the alleyway that goes between the library, that goes from the parking lot out to Main Street. So there is a bit of work, but like I said, Red Pine, they're phenomenal. They do such a great job.
And then one last question for you, Jonathan.
Sure.
What's the update on 930 West? What's the latest there?
So 930 West, the culvert is in. They've got it pretty much backfilled. They're bypass pumping the little bit of runoff that we're getting right now. They're getting ready to. They have everything kind of stabilized now, so they should be getting ready to pour the concrete lean walls and aprons at the opening and at the inlet and the outlet of the culvert. So. Once they get that in, they can backfill and compact and everything and hopefully get that road open. Time frame on that, another month. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you,
Yeah,
Jonathan.
no
Thank you.
problem.
Thank you. Council, any other? Nope. Okay. Good.
I'll just quickly jump up and say that we had the opportunity, Jill arranged today to kick off our Nebo Beltway study. So basically that entire corridor, we received grant money from MAG to do a plan for that entire area that consists of all the economics, land uses, utilities, all of that sort of stuff. And we kicked that off today. I'm really excited about that. I think that really will be a great opportunity for Payson to get some of the, specifically the residential that you have all been really wanting and hoping for. We were very specific in the direction that we gave on what type of residential we want to see in that area. So I'm excited for that and look forward to giving you updates throughout this process. We'll have some public open houses and things like that and make sure that you're aware of those. So in related news, I just asked in passing today from Cade about Mobetas. I'm so excited for Mobetas. Having lived in Hawaii for 8 years, I'm so excited. They passed their 4-way inspection today, and so they're on to drywall.
Thank you, Robert.
Hi, so with the new youth council, we have let the youth lead a lot of the activities that we do. And they have all expressed interest in wanting to have positions. And so at our meeting last night, we decided that the positions they will have are mayor, manager, and assistant manager. And they would like to invite all of you to our next meeting, which is on March 18th at 6 p.m. in this room, to come vote for who should be in what positions. The ones who want to run will have speeches prepared, and they want more than just themselves to elect each other. So March 18th, 6 p.m. in this room. Thank you.
Any other stuff? Now I'll move on to council Christensen.
Well, my brain hasn't shifted over to say thanks for things yet. I love Mr. Morel and that he makes the kids come to class, to come to this, to experience city council. I hope that continues. I do know that he's on his way out. He's retiring, and I hope that the next teacher does the same thing, because it really does make my heart glad to see all of you out here doing this and learning. You are the ones that make a difference in the future. You're not very far away from voting age if you're not already at voting age. And so it's important to make yourself educated and know what's going on. Excited to hear about the library parking lot. That one's way overdue. Hopefully that's can move forward and things will look good there. Just everything looks good out there, and appreciate everything that we've done. And I am excited for the new rules on the parking on the street in the snow, but I think we need to make sure we're getting out there and letting people know that they're in violation. We're gonna go our way, they need to meet us halfway. So anyway, thank you.
Council Rowley.
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Council Moss.
I was gonna talk about the gala, but I already did, so I don't have anything either.
That's what I
was gonna talk about too.
You stole their thunder.
I forgot. Stream. That guy is just awesome. What's his first name?
Brian.
Brian Street.
Ryan Stream. If you have a chance to see him, that guy has so much energy. He just wanted to get up and run with you. You couldn't have kept up, but oh my God, me, he just lives in Santa Clara.
No, he lives in this.
Oh, does he?
He lives in my neighborhood.
Oh my goodness, you're so lucky. I'm gonna go visit him.
He's a good friend. He's got a good thing.
He's awesome. I just want you to know that. Best entertainment I've seen for a long time. And I just got off the ship with really good entertainment. They don't compare it all to what he was, so.
He's going cruising.
He does. No, he's too good for that.
That's true.
Okay,
Yeah, it was good.
thank you, staff and council. We'll move on to E, action items. The number one is public hearing, request to extend the municipal boundary lines encompassing the Staley Payson addition, annexation, and annexation agreement. Michael?
Okay, so I'm just gonna bring up some of the maps and things from what was in your packet, so that we can share that with you. So on the south here, or at least the bottom of my screen here, this is Goose Nest Drive. And then over here, and then going along outside the area is Salem Canal. So this is the area that is in between those two that would be being brought into the city here. If you'd like, I can pull it up on a Google map so you can orient yourselves. Would that be better? Go ahead. Okay. So here's the Google image. You can see where the two roads connect here, Salem Canal and Goose Nest. And so it would be,
One of my favorite intersections in Payson.
so it would include a small piece of property on the north side of Salem Canal here that's not in the city. And then it would be these parcels you can see along here, this one that extends all the way down to here, and then this green one here. So those are the areas that we're talking about.
Is that small parcel, are they okay with this? Not like a hostile takeover, are they?
No,
Unless it's actually state property, I assumed it wasn't, it was just left as an island. We had-
it was left as an island, but no, they don't have any concerns.
Okay.
So a couple things to mention on this were some of the inclusions in your packet. This is the boundary of what would be an annex, but we also included some additional maps here. This is just showing utilities in the area. This one is a concept only, and the reason why it's in your packet is just to show conceptually what some lots may look like. We would probably advise to take this out of the packet if it's adopted, just because we don't want anybody to come to the conclusion that this is how the road pattern is going to be. But we liked showing this to you because you can see that these would be quite large lots. And you can see the zoning here that is intended to be in those areas. So we've got the R1A, we've got the R115, R110, and then the R120.
And just to reinforce,
Expansion of Goose Nest.
I'm sorry?
Is Goose Nest widened in this proposal at all, or is that would that go underneath their plat?
It would go when development occurs.
and just to reinforce, what we're, taking action on tonight is the annexation and the annexation agreement, nothing else.
Correct. So that is what I have on that, unless you have questions, so. Questions on that?
What I'd like to do is go ahead and open the public hearing, then we do the questions after the public hearing. So, council, I'm ready for a motion to open a public hearing. The public hearing, well, go ahead and see if I can open a public hearing.
Mayor, a motion that we open the public hearing.
Is there a second? Okay, we have a motion and second, roll call vote, starting with Council Hyatt.
Yes.
Council Moss.
Yes.
Council Rowley.
Yes.
Council Christensen.
Yes.
Okay, explanation of the public hearing. Please, step to the mic if you would, state your name and where you're from. Please speak clearly so we can, hear you and be cognizant of the time, and basically, whether you agree or disagree with what has been presented by, our staff presentation. And just be aware that if things are continuing to repeat themselves, at some point I'll probably, say we've had enough comments, but, under those, ground rules, please come and speak with us during the public hearing. Hello, Joe.
Go.
Yep.
I'm actually not representing Payson.
I understand.
I actually am being affected by this annexation. Joe Jameson, work at Payson City. But I know that you took it out of the packet, the conceptual design on it. I just want to make sure that and reiterate that it is being taken out of it. Because the way that the road is designed affects a few homes right there, my home being one of them. And it's not very well conceived.
Okay. And that's why I made that
Yes.
comment, that we're just taking action on the annex and the agreement.
Yes, this one right here.
Yeah.
Because the way this is right here, that my driveway, my neighbor's driveways, they're being split right there at the corner. Doesn't quite work. So I know that when it comes back through staff for us to review, we'll look at a lot more, but I just wanted to make sure I got up here and
Point well taken.
so appreciate it, Mayor. Thank you. Council.
Anyone else like to address us in the public hearing? Sir, come on up. I wish I did. I need one.
on if you can make.
Well, I've been a Paysonite for 80 years. I moved here when I was 5. And I'm kind of excited about getting annexed and being eligible to run for the city council.
Wonderful.
I'm sure I will. Anyway, going into this,
Yeah,
oh, Ross Huff, I'm the
little island.
R110 zone.
Okay.
I have a couple of questions so that I just know what we're getting into,
Fair enough.
and I'd like some assurances. It's my understanding that right now I'm on Strawberry Water. I've invested in water, so I own more than my property can hold, but anyway. Will I lose my water? Now, I've been told that the city can't take my water until or if I should subdivide. Now, my worry is that it only takes 3 city council members to vote against that, and it can be changed. What assurances do I have that that won't change?
Staff, can we answer this real quickly?
Yeah, there will take his water. If he needs to connect onto the city water, or if he subdivides the building, new house, there will be a water requirement. But only the amount needed for the new home or whatever, if that's to be built.
So any surplus water.
I'm talking about taking my Strawberry water.
You're on city water, aren't you?
Yeah, I have culinary
Right.
water, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
So you don't have pressurized irrigation from Payson City?
no,
You're pressurized through Strawberry water.
yeah, I have a siphon line and I have plenty of gravity flow to take care of my property.
They kind of speak in terms sometimes that are hard to understand. When you actually connect or subdivide and connect to Payson City's secondary water, you'll be required to have a certain amount of water rights that everybody will have to bring in. What you have in surplus becomes his for the selling. You can sell those surplus items to whatever you want to.
Okay, now, what do you call a subdivision? If I were to subdivide, because I'm right in the process now of building a studio. Where I can paint and sculpt.
That would not be a subdivision. A subdivision would be 2 new plat ID numbers,
New tax
Oh,
ID.
okay.
new tax ID numbers.
Creating parcels.
Yeah, so you could put an additional house in there. not
Okay,
just a studio.
another question I have. I'm on a septic system. And it's been in since 1947. I would like to replace the whole system. Am I gonna have any problems with that?
Yeah, that's a staff question.
As a step, and they're nodding their heads behind you. The
The septic system is behind my house, so if there's a sewer line anywhere near my house, it
you,
has to go downhill
right,
or put a lift on it, so am I gonna have any problem getting a new?
that would have to be with the engineers, but according to Payson City Code, you can't put a septic system within the city limits. So that is a little bit of a trick, right? I'm not speaking out of turn, but so that would change. We'd have to find a way to get that sewer back up or whatever and tie you back into it, and that would be something
Well,
staff would
I
have
could
to
tie it
do.
in by going downhill, but I would have to run a sewer line for 400 yards.
Well, that's a long way. We'll have to get,
And I was
those
told-
3 guys over there are the ones to talk to about that.
That won't be solved here tonight, but you can get some information from them and they can follow up with you.
Okay,
But yes, you wouldn't be able to rebuild the septic system. You'd have to connect to the city sewer system.
Okay, who's gonna provide the pump? Do I have to find
We'll
public
get with you
backup?
on that.
Those are the final reports would have to depend on the engineering staff for.
But I
Okay,
think he's wondering,
Yes,
it's probably something, am I gonna annex or am I not?
if with annexation, the cost to connect to city utilities is your responsibility or responsibility of the annexation sponsor, depending on whatever is written in the annexation agreement.
okay, so I have to make my septic system now last till I die, is what you're saying?
Aren't you gonna lift?
Or cough up
Well,
$100,000 for the sewer line?
this is something we would have to discuss.
Yeah, that's why I say it won't be solved tonight, but
Yeah, okay, well, I'll put a question mark.
yes, please do.
It's been my experience working with the city, that sometimes it gets really complicated and drawn out.
Well,
And you know what I'm.
you're well advised to address those in the open city council.
Okay. Okay, this studio that I'm building, I'm gonna have a restroom on it so that I don't have to run clear up to the house. At my age, it takes a while to get up those stairs. I'm not gonna have a
Come back.
and getting
To staff.
permit and put on that, because right now I have a building permit from the county.
Okay.
Footprint is only 200 square feet, so I don't need one, but I wanna make it so that when my son and daughter-in-law inherit my place, if they wanna turn it into a,
This-
guest house or rental type thing. Am I gonna have?
That'd be another staff question we can't answer for you
But
tonight.
we can get you there, if you wanna pass your information to Kim, they'll reach out to you and contact you the next day or two, and we can address some of these concerns. I assume that would be Jill that would probably look at that, or,
And we need to make this short, so it's an ADU if we're gonna go that route. It need to be an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit, if you're gonna go the route of possibly renting it out, so we'll need to check the zoning and square footage.
I don't know, that, it won't happen, well, I'm.
Right.
But I'm 85 too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we want to make sure that the future as best as it can be addressed.
Okay, another question.
Okay.
Few years back, I tried to put curb and gutter in there. The county wouldn't let me, so I don't have curb and gutter. And since they wouldn't let me, I've invested that money elsewhere. Am I gonna be forced to put curb and gutter on?
That's another staff question.
I am, once again, check me, make sure, but if your building is under 300 square feet, it does not trigger the requirement for curb gutter and sidewalk. But if you built your studio at 301 square feet, it would require you to do the curb gutter and sidewalk.
There's no certain building permits are gonna force you to do curb and gutter before we'll.
Yeah, but we won't force it upon you otherwise. Trust me, I've been trying to get the city to pay for it citywide for a long time, and they won't do it.
Okay, my last
Jill
question.
would like the floor for 1 second here.
Yep.
Ross, can I try to answer some of your questions? Will you?
You're a sweetheart.
Anyway, it sounds like a lot of these concerns did come up. I've talked to Ross in the past, over the years with this annexation pending. And even some of the other property owners in the annexation have very similar questions. So we've tried to address a lot of those in the annexation agreement. So I would suggest, let's find a time that you can come and meet with staff. And before the annexation, if the council is inclined to approve the annexation and the annexation agreement, we can sit down with the property owners in the annexation to make sure that you understand the terms of that agreement.
Okay.
I think we've tried to take care of a lot of those, questions,
About,
but I
house
think
and yard improvements.
yeah,
Like
and
if I put up a new fence or something.
fencing wouldn't trigger anything. And so that agreement does address the triggers.
Okay,
And so maybe we just sit down with you and you understand what would trigger, what type of
Improvement.
whether it's structure or if it's a yard improvement would trigger some type of connection to utility or a building permit or whatever it may be. And then then also with the county building permit, if he has an active county building permit, right now, that's something that we take in consideration as far as existing uses on the site. So when we're annexing property, we look at what uses are occurring at the time and which ones we want to accept following annexation. That's part of this annexation discussion. Or if there is an active building permit with Utah County, we would just continue to work with Utah County to make sure that the construction is done to the building code. Our building official may just determine that Utah County should finish it out, or they may transfer it over to Payson City to finish the final inspections. So we would just coordinate with the county on that, but we would still look at it as an active building permit that that he received zoning approval for. So we wouldn't do that bait and switch. It's like, oh, well, our ordinance doesn't allow that. He's in process for that and has received approval from the current the government entity having jurisdictional, authority on that. So we can just get some additional information for Ross and make sure that, his comfort level's there before he signs. We would need to sign this annexation agreement too. So we want him to know what those terms are and that he's comfortable with them before it's recorded.
That's why I said.
Well, you ought to be a lawyer. Thank you.
She's been in politics long enough to know how to answer the question.
Wasn't trying to dodge the questions, and that's really fit on staff.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Oh, by the way, I should have got up with public forum. The park and the roads up Main Street, fantastic. That really adds to this city.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've actually got in here for a little bit more asphalt up there, don't we?
Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, anyone else like to take advantage of the public hearing? Not seeing anyone. Whoop, come on up. Thank you.
Hi there, I am Sharice Staley. I live in the pink area that's just off that map.
Okay.
Just one clarifying question. You said that the lot lines would not be held in place. What about the zones?
Staff?
So the zones would be adopted as shown here. You can see on the next page, the zones are the exact same as what's shown in this map. It just doesn't have these conceptual roads on there.
The one is the R1A, what is the P?
Yeah, will you tell me what those mean?
For state.
So, so the R120 would mean that a minimum lot size of 20,000 square foot would be needed for any lot that would go that night. Does that happen?
These are all single family lots.
Right. Well, there is no lots being created.
Right, but I mean, the
these are-
zoning
these
dictates
zones,
this,
yes,
yes.
would be single family zones.
Single family.
And that is a valid question, because I know that once the annexation takes place and those zones are set in stone, it's really hard for us to deviate from them. So that is a valid question.
Zones 15 and 10 be smaller.
Yes, so 10 would be a minimum lot size of 10,000 square feet, so a quarter acre. And 15 would be in between a quarter and a half.
What
acre.
does the A mean? I assume agricultural.
So that's a 1 acre agricultural zone.
Thank you.
Very good question.
Thank you for the question.
I'm not educated on it, but I'm in favor of the annexation. Like I said, I live right there, and whether you're familiar with that area or not, on that south side is pretty dense housing with condos. And on the other side, same thing, it's neighborhood. So in the middle, we're in this rural area, which I really enjoy, but it's not a very good transition spot. We have neighbors often complain about, we still use it agriculturally, we keep animals, we have pigs and cows. We rent the property next to us, and same thing, they use it agriculturally, but not a lot of the neighbors don't appreciate that. We don't plan to develop or subdivide anytime. I'm adding on to my house right now. Ross's situation is similar to mine, where we have an open county permit to add on to our house, because I plan to die in that house. Maybe not literally, but I'm gonna live there until I do. So I like the rural area. I like the orchard next to me. I appreciate that lifestyle, but I also enjoy having neighborhoods close and having a place for my kids to play and sidewalks. But it needs a transition, so I just appreciate how this plan allows for that, from the more dense housing to the rural area, so that we can maybe enjoy a little bit of both. And that's really all. Just wanted to.
Thank you
show
for
my
the
support.
questions and being involved.
I got a little comment to go on. You can sit down, but I really think that is a good transitional up into the all red orchards with the way it's laid out right there. Mine was in the city zoned already, but I did a subdivision that had a cistern. It wasn't even a septic tank on it. The house was built in the 1800s, and so it honestly looked to me like they had converted the well when city water came in and just started dumping the sewage into the well. So I was really glad when we tied that one into the city, but when we started to do those lot of line adjustments and doing subdivisions and things like that, the city was great to work with us to get those transitions made and to get those older homes tied into the sewer the way it needed to be done, and underground power and everything, all those kind of things will happen. So as you're looking at these, if you're in the middle of a remodel or something like that, definitely get with staff and see. It may benefit you to just do it now and run that sewer out. I wouldn't assume that adding onto your house with the existing building permit wouldn't trigger the curb gutter and sidewalk per se, you know, but the sewer might not be a bad idea for you while you're right there doing it. So yeah, it has its advantages.
Sir, please address us.
My name's Nathan Staley. So I just wanted to address you, and I don't know if you were all here 3 years ago. But I started this 3 years ago. And my brothers and I had a dream of building 3 houses on our land, and so we started through the process with the county, with the city. And we landed here in a meeting that was a lot more attendance with the orchard people. And there was a lot of other meetings, and we put Jill through the ringer. And then life hit us. 3 years ago, I had an offer come to me to move and take care of 7 acres in West Mountain, and I was the one that was the closest to wanting to build on our land. And so it kind of has been eating at me for the last 3 years, like, man, we put all that time and money, we wasted Jill and Kyle Spencer. And then Michael got hold of me and said, do you still want to do this? And I was like, it's still an option? Like, I thought we let that burn away a long time ago. And so, needless to say, he said that we could still get the annex part through, which, the application fee isn't cheap. And all the other time and money that we put into it. So at this point, for the neighbors, whoever, the zoning is off of, a lot of it is off of houses that already exist in that area, like my dad. And that zoning requires what his lot size already is. And then others are what other surrounding. But as of right now, we're not planning to build. But we want it to be an option one day. We plan to still farm our 10 acres. And then hopefully one day, maybe we can put a house or 2 out there on the 1 acre lots. That's why we went with 1 acre. But we have all intentions until we're dead to keep farming it. But we're happy to have the chance to see this annexation through and not have it be a complete waste of time and money that we put into it. So yes, it's been drawn out for 3+ years, but here we are.
Options are always good, so that's wonderful.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address us? Okay, not seeing anyone, I'll accept a motion to close the public hearing. So moved. We got a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion has been seconded. The roll call vote started with Council Christensen.
Yes.
Council Rowley.
Yes.
Council Moss.
Yes.
Council Hyatt.
Yes.
Thank you. Council, any discussion that we have not had to this point?
So Michael, the total acreage is about 26, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and to one of the residents' points, what reassurances can we have about the future of that road and the intersection? What can we do to make sure that's done in a thoughtful, conducive way?
So I don't have answers for that, but there is definitely work that will need to be done to address that. And that would be upon development and future development of this area that we will review those plans for renditions of what it might look like.
And as just for the record, I know that there were concerns, but I really want it when it comes time to be discussed to make sure. I know that roads that don't hit at 90-degree angles really do cause a lot of problems, and that one could potentially become a bad one if there was a large number of people down either one of those two roads eventually, which inevitably there's going to be. So I just wanted on record that something probably needs to be done to deviate that hard 170-degree turn suited for the residents in the area.
Agreed, and if this, even if it develops as 15,000 square foot lots right there in that green area, then I think that would warrant some of that being addressed at that time.
Robert?
I would also say that some of the assurance comes from the development standards that we have.
Right.
Right, like, when this does come in for review and everything, it's going to have to go through that litmus test and make sure that those development standards that we have that address things like degree roads and things like that are addressed in that.
Well, the intersection that comes to my mind is the one right there at the high school, 8th South and Highway 198, that they had to physically close one of the roads because it came in too sharp of an angle and so made 4 instead of 5 come to a junction. So you kind of look at some of those things that those are possibilities.
And some of those concepts, like that concept plan was exploring that to some degree.
Yeah, I did see
And
that.
so that's the idea, is to have a solution, but nothing is set until development happens and what will work with those development standards and proper reviews of city codes and standards.
Yeah, and I make these kind of comments so that they're on public record, and so 10 years, 15 years down the road, it can be brought back up and looked at too. So thanks.
Okay, good discussion. Just before I take a motion on this item, I just want to reiterate that the council is voting on is annexation and the annexation agreement only.
And Mayor,
Can we?
Go ahead.
I just wanted you to go back to that map that we need to get out so that we can maybe throw some verbiage in there that gets that map out of the.
So you're talking about right there.
Yes, is there a name on it, something?
It has
Proposed subdivision layout?
concept 8.
Okay.
Concept date. Whoever makes the motion, make that part of the motion.
And just add one more thing, I'm excited to see the size of the lots, and I might be here, I might not be here when this comes to fruition and we talk about it again. But to anyone listening, I just want to plead, don't wimp out. Do not create the temptation to sell your soul to do smaller lots up here. These are very conducive for the area and would be excellent lots on a hill with good homes. And so let's keep this big for these lots. No wimping out and doing high density.
You can tell where we get the pressure up here from, can't you? So.
Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
Mayor, I motion that we approve the request to extend the municipal boundaries encompassing the Staley Payson annexation and annexation agreement, excluding concept B. Eight, sorry, I need glasses.
I'll second that.
Concept 8.
Okay, so that's your motion. It's been seconded. Roll call vote started with Council Hyatt.
Yes.
Council Moss.
Yes.
Council Rowley.
Yes.
Council Christensen.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks for all the input, staff wise and citizen wise. Okay, Mike, you might as well stay right there. A resolution clearing Payson annexation petition for consideration of acceptance and further review.
So on the screen here, this is the parcels identified for the potential request for further consideration, but I will bring it up on the county parcel map so you can see an aerial view to get a better view of that.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate you.
So you can see the red outlines along the yellow property lines. This area, wow, got checkerboards.
Fifties diner.
There we go. So as you recall, this area where my cursor is was the most recent annexation that came into the city. This was the RNC annexation. Just to the west of it is what's being proposed now. And so you can see 900 north here. Let me
So
make
the,
sure
so the
how
bowling
far
alley
west
up,
we are, but
up
yeah,
that way, right?
400 west here. The bowling alley is right
okay.
there. The new Maverick will be right there.
Yeah.
So anyways, so this is the area that's being considered. Staff feels as if there is enough to consider this area for further review. We have, all of the properties owners have signed the petition to potentially be included as part of the annexation. And with the further review of this, then we could dive into the details a little more. There is some concern potentially here with sewer because we are getting really close to the minimum depth that our sewer pipes are buried. I think at the west end of the city boundary now. Travis, is that 4 feet now? Is that right? So
What does the water table look like there? Would they all be slab on grade construction or would there be potential for underground footings?
we haven't looked at the water table here yet, but
That's one of the things you'd be studying for
Correct.
further consideration.
So what are the concerns with the depth of the sewer then? Educate me a little bit about that.
it would, if Travis wants to speak about it,
For a
yes.
basement, you have to have a pump to get it into the sewer.
So the road is going west down and the sewer has to go up, so you can't go any farther west or the sewer is underground. So to sewer this, they're
So
probably.
we do a
gonna-
nice elevated sewer
Yeah,
pipe.
so they're probably gonna have to put a lift station and a force main in to get to it
Okay.
from parts of the property. Some might be on the gravity flow, but some probably won't.
So is that something that we need to consider as a city that we may be burdened with some of that expenditure? Cause if it's a 4 feet right there, I would think you would put a major lift station out there. And push it so that everything west of there could still drain down into there. and not-
Yeah, the lift station would typically go a little probably farther west where it's lower.
And that's what this whole
That
reason,
could be part of what they have to look at.
Okay.
So.
And have we contacted the adjacent neighbors that are not part of the annexation to see if they're interested? I always hate to see we do it piecemeal, and that's why I like to at least just send a letter to them and say, hey, we're doing this, are you interested?
Is this
So-
industrial?
This would come into the city as industrial, if it followed the future land use map for the area. As
So-
far as contacting other adjacent property owners, Randy Park is here. Could you answer that, Randy?
We haven't contacted. Yeah, I'm Randy Park, I represent Clear Wing. We haven't contacted anybody further than the PRI that is to the west of our property. And you know, we'd be open to having them join, anybody who would like to further west. But at this point, we haven't done.
It's too late for the, okay.
but many of these questions could be answered because that's what we want to find out. Let's get this.
But this annexation.
This annexation, by the time we see it, it's too
What
late.
you get.
And that's why I'm maybe telling staff a little bit, when they come to us, maybe those 500-foot letters you send for other things, it might be worth it.
Well, that is the reason that the church property is included.
Oh, is because
It's because there wasn't.
perfect. Okay, I don't see any problems with it. Sorry if I was side railed.
You're fine. Any further council discussion? Anything further, Mike?
No, staff, just with that one concern that was brought up and Travis talked about, that's the only thing that we have at this moment of concern, so.
Okay. Council, any further?
This with the petitioner mind sharing the hopes and dreams, the plans that they have for this property?
Not at this point.
How many acres?
Good question. Let me go back to the other map.
The church's property is about 15.55. You know, we've got about 11, those two parcels are 11. On the back one is about 2 on the bottom. And then it's just cleaning up little boundary line adjustments between the other property.
30 acres. Okay,
Council, we ready for a motion? If you are, I am.
I'll make a motion,
Okay.
that we approve the Clearwing Payson annexation petition for consideration and acceptance. For staff for further review.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and seconded, roll call vote started with Council Christensen,
Yes.
Council Rowley,
Yes.
Council Moss.
Yes.
Council Hyatt.
Yeah.
Thank you, motion carries. Number 3, the resolution Arrowhead Ranch Master Development Agreement. Mikey, you're still up.
So, this has been in the works for a while, and so we're excited to bring it to you finally. Just to give you,
See it.
this is the entire property that it entails, and again, I'll go to an aerial map to show you. But for reference, right here where my cursor is where Villages at Arrowhead Ranch is. And this area that's kind of the triangular tipped one is where Arrowhead Ranch is currently doing some of their construction now. And so it would include that's under construction, as well as these other parcels out here as part of their master development. Do you want me to go to an aerial on this, please? Okay.
Speaking of that area, fix the line straps in the road. There's 4 rows of yellow lines down the middle of the road right there.
Yeah.
Okay. You've driven it, it's like, yeah.
You get 2 tickets if you pass those.
We just have to sandblast up.
So, here's Arrowhead Trail. You can see the road that diagonals here. Villages is up here, and this area that you can see all the disturbed earth. This is the Arrowhead Ranch property that would be included in this master development agreement, and then as well as their property extends out here to the creek. And so that would be part of that as well. Questions on the area or anything like that?
So the people further south did want to be involved, or is that wetlands?
That's not owned by this developer, and so it's not part of this
What
development.
is it another is owned
So
development?
this area right here is owned by, I think it's McDougal. And so they were part of an annexation about 10 or 15 years ago. Same annexation that this Arrowhead Ranch was, but they're not interested in doing any development at this time.
So I think that's an important point as well, to say that this is already included in an annexation and they're moving forward and things like that. And there's already an agreement. The whole point of this was to further refine this particular area to make sure that protecting the city, make sure we're protecting the developer to get those further refined products that we're talking about in this particular.
So
Similar to the state thing.
So Michael, did you hit some of what you feel are the key points of this development agreement? And how does it compare to the one across the street? Did we enter one for that one across the street?
I think we had individual development agreements for each phase, or at least the majority of the phases for that one. I don't know as much about that because I haven't been here when that was begun, but we have worked with the applicant quite extensively on this, and I think we're both in a comfortable place that we're willing to move it forward now. It's probably been in excess of a year that we've been back and forth on feedback and comments related to this development. Some of the key things that it would solidify would be the actual zoning here. Instead of, if you ever looked at our city map, our zoning map, it says specific plan right here. So this area is creating a specific plan, but we also want to solidify what the zoning is. And unfortunately, this is not in color because the applicant prepared it for us in a manner that is recordable at Utah County. But the area over here, the westernmost area, would be R15 or RMF 15. So be moderately dense. And then This area where my cursor is now is going to be R275 with the infill overlay not the infill, the RMO overlay so that it could actually do twin homes there. What the product is that the applicant's doing as a twin home product is it's actually connected underground with the foundation wall. And so these are actually, if you go out there, these are actually, they look like detached homes.
Cookie cutter style, little tiny ones.
So they're actually pretty good sized homes.
But they're not connected to the garage above ground.
Correct. They're connected below ground to just a single, well, because that way the code would allow them to be considered a duplex or a twin home style development. So anyways, you can see this, this hash marking here would be those in this area. And then as it goes further to the east, I can't remember what we had for that one. Oh, so that one going further to the east here with these ones that are the more square shaped lots. This is the R175 zoning. And then as we go further south down here, this is R19 zoning. And as we go further, these are also R19 up here. And then in the bottom corner of their development, this is the R110. So the idea is as it goes further south and further east, they get to be bigger lots. And that's part of the annexation agreement that was for this area with, it included the East Side Comprehensive Plan. And that plan had this idea in mind is as the development happens further south and east, that the lots get bigger. And so this is a key feature that's showing what the zoning is going to be like in the area. And that way it's much easier for staff to work with future homeowners when they want to do something on their property. We can tell them what the actual zoning is and therefore what regulations they need to follow and whatnot.
So there's the tiger hatch marks here are
This
19.
one here.
Those would be townhomes then?
These would be single family homes. The only townhomes are going to be over here in this area.
So there's no apartments in here. These are all townhomes individually owned by, or
These are all, everything where my cursor is and to the east would all be detached product.
right?
Whether or not there's any for rent or for sale, that's going to be however that pans out. But these are all detached product. The ones here are 4 and 5 unit attached townhome style units. And some of those, if you haven't noticed, they're actually beginning construction on a few of those now.
It looks to me from up here to be really, really dense and lots of houses right there. But I think our problem is it's a big chunk of land.
It is.
And we're looking at it on a little tiny map. That's why I'm asking these questions to clarify.
So, and that's a good question. That kind of leads to my next point. Some of these lots don't, their lot size is not gonna meet the zoning that they're going to be in. And so this agreement would also allow them to do that. For example, some of these lots might be under the 7,500 square feet. They might be 6,800 square feet or something to that effect. And so this agreement would allow for those to do that. But the agreement also has a minimum lot size that they can possibly be.
So we're allowing some of the lots to be smaller. What are some of the pros that the builder, the developer is willing to give to Payson? What were some back and forth there to be?
So the builder is putting in amenities here. They're gonna have a clubhouse. They're gonna have, I can't remember if they were doing a pool. Is there a pool? Greg, is there a pool that's gonna be in the clubhouse area? So they're doing those amenities for the more dense. They're also going to dedicate property right here to the city as additional property that can go towards a park. They're also doing improved trails throughout the development that would go You can see them on this map here. These are the trails that they would be doing, and they would go in line with the creek and the whatnot that goes along there.
Do those become city property or are those part of an HOA
That's,
organization?
the agreement actually spells that out to be, it'll be determined based on when they submit their subdivision applications, whether or not the city feels as if it's part of a network of the regional trail system, or if it's a local trail. And if the city feels as if they need that as part of the regional system, then the city would want that to be dedicated. Otherwise, it would remain part of the HOA. And
Is that something that can be altered if it becomes part of a regional plan down the road?
well, that's the way it's written in this
Okay.
agreement, so that
So it would
It's
initially start out as an
yeah.
HOA, and as everything around it grows,
it would be negotiated with each phase that they develop.
I just know sometimes that those HOAs kind of become their own little island, and if it's a regional up that creek and can be part of a big long conglomerate of trails, I would like to make sure exactly what's happening is happening.
And that is the intent.
So, thank you.
Can you zoom out?
Mhm.
One more time?
I can't remember the acreage on it now. It's over 100, I believe. 160.
How many floors?
There are 540, I believe. 570, excuse me.
And 2 roads in and out upon completion.
So yes, there's this road, it's in there now. This road is also in there. And then they've stubbed for here, and they would stub into potential future developments there.
So it's kind
It looks like that one would also stub. Yeah, and the city has worked with, staff has worked with them to maintain a grid system, so.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay, if there's no further discussion, I'm ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Arrowhead Ranch Master Development Agreement.
All second?
Okay, we have a motion and second, roll call vote starting with Council Hyatt,
Yes.
Council Moss,
Yes.
Council Rowley,
Yes.
Council Christensen.
Yes.
Thank you, sounds like a good development. Okay, going on to number 4, Dave, you're up, ordinance / amendment to Title 2.19 Economic Development.
Hey, Mayor.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan showed me up every council meeting this.
We bought matching
So I
suits.
thought I better.
Yeah.
I'll have you know, I don't care if anybody shows me up.
No, but he shows everybody up.
White shirt ties, Linda used to shame us.
Mayor, council, we're making a few tweaks to the Economic Development Board. The original ordinance said that the number would be determined by the board. And we grew, and we had quite a few. We had up to 15 board members, but we didn't ever get a full quorum. So we couldn't do any official recommendations or anything, and so we talked about that. So we did a few tweaks here. We've lowered the number of board members down to 11. There are some that would be by position, the mayor, the city council member that you would appoint would be part of that, and then a cross section of the community. The other thing we did, just so that we could keep doing business and keep working on things, is we did add a section for ex officio members, and we put myself, Robert, the assistant city manager, and the development services director as ex officio members. We could participate. We would never vote unless they need us to make a quorum for recommendation. So that's done in other types of boards. So we put that in there, and we'll probably come back to you if the council approves it. Probably come back to you with the current makeup of the board, how we're gonna move forward with those 11.
So I don't remember the term you used, but as 3 alternates to the board, that still wouldn't give us a majority rule if there was not a full quorum, right?
Right,
Okay.
it would be non-voting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so if 7 people showed up, 5 of you could cover that, would actually make a quorum.
Right. We could participate in discussion, but we'd not vote. But if there's only three that show up, and us three make six, then that would be a quorum, we could at least keep.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a great way to go.
So that's basically what we're doing here. We're not, we have current board members. We've talked to some about maybe they can still participate, but maybe not be a board member. And so we'll bring back to you a resolution showing, you know, who these 11 would be.
And who selects the board?
Well, the council approves them, but the ones that the council approved in the past, we have those board members. We probably bring some of those back to you, and the ones that maybe haven't been attending much, we have them not be on the board. They can still come to the meetings, but
No, you guys need to make this efficient and work.
yeah,
Yeah,
we're trying to make it work a little better, and so that's why we tweaked this ordinance a little bit.
Any further discussion? Okay, ready for motion.
Mayor, I motion that we approve the amendments to Title 2.19, the Economic Development Board.
I'll second that.
Okay, more specifically, roll call vote starting with Council Christensen,
Yes.
Council Rowling,
Yes.
Council Moss,
Yes.
and Council Wyatt.
Yes.
Wonderful, thank you, motion carries. Number 5. Ordinance amendment to the fiscal year 2024, 2025. Dave, go
Yeah,
ahead.
Mayor and Council, last council meeting, we had budget amendments that we brought to council. We had a public hearing. The council approved the budget amendments except for the roadway on Main Street from Third to Fifth. They approved the library, and you've seen we started that. One of the directions was to see if there's other funding that we could find instead of using the fund balance that we have. So in your packet, there was a little amount, but just as a review, we budgeted and had appropriated $11.3 million. We had $5 million of a grant initially, and then we were able to receive $3 more million. And then from the fund balance a few years ago, we had $3.3 million. So that's 11.3 for the Main Street and the library. Of that, we had 3.1 million still left. When we came to a new budget, that fell to fund balance. And so the council approved the library, and we did go out and look at some options. I think there's pretty positive that we can get a couple more $1 million in grant money. We still need to solidify that, but we came back to you. Our recommendation of staff is that the council would approve the budget as we proposed last council meeting using fund balance. If we get this extra grant, we would not use the fund balance. We'd come back and have you approve the grant money, and or maybe put it toward the next 2 blocks that need to get done. But
Dave, can we use grant money to reimburse ourselves to put back in the balance or no?
yeah, if you approve this fund balance and we get that grant, we would come back to you and appropriate that and not take it in the fund balance, so that yeah, we could pay ourselves back for what we've used. So I don't know if there's any questions. We can go through specific amounts on the budget. But if you look at the last budget item, because some of the money that we did appropriate for this project went into a new budget, it fell to fund balance. Like I say, we had 3.1 million of that 11.5 that fell back into our fund balance. And so to finish the road up, we would need to reappropriate Kathy, you're gonna make sure I'm reading this right. 3.3 million. Of that for the roadway, it's some of that's already grant money that we've had that fell back into fund balance. We needed to do the street, it would be like 1.97 million. So if we get that 2 million, that would take care of what we need to do.
was allocated at one time for that purpose, and that budget was approved. Right, the citizens agreed, we went through open,
And then,
that we need to use it where it was appropriated, and this is a perfect way
and
to
then
do
it fell
it.
back to fund balance because it
Yeah,
went. into-
and then if we get the other two that we're looking at, we can finish the road out. I really, it makes me nervous. I was gonna mention to the mayor that I would love to see, even if we don't get it done, that we go and slurry seal or something, kind of hide that ugly 2-block stretch that needs to be so desperately
Well,
fixed.
this,
But he doesn't,
options.
he doesn't want, and I have always been an advocate of never ever putting a Band-Aid on something without fixing what's under it, but yeah, this one might make the exception, just because it's big, this big, nice stretch of beautiful road, and then you hit 700 potholes for 2 blocks.
This would give us some options, I think options are great.
We've made a lot of progress on Main Street all the way up with the CUP project, but yeah. We'd like to finish it off, but.
Okay, council, any discussion? Okay. I'm ready for a motion.
I've got this one.
Okay,
Mayor, I move that we approve the amendments to the fiscal year of my last one,
2024,
2024-2025 budget.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, been seconded, roll call vote, starting with Council Hyatt,
Yes.
Council Moss,
Yes.
Council Rowley.
Yes.
Council Bishop. Yes, thank you, motion carried. You're still up, Dave.
Well,
We can skip this.
This is the annual training open and public meeting act, municipal officers and.
we love
employees.
this, we'll only keep you for an hour.
Please don't.
Really fast.
No, and I've asked Dallin, one of our attorneys here, if he kind of lead the discussion, I'll chime in, but we're just gonna go over, we're required every year to go over the Open Public Meetings Act and the Municipal Officers Ethics Act, so we're just gonna go through that. We probably won't hit every section, but we're gonna ask questions if you want, and Brad will scare you because he's a prosecutor, and he'll go through all the penalties you could have. But, so, Brad, you wanna take over?
Sure. I thought this was our penalty.
Well, if you had to listen to me, it would be.
Be nice to us, Brandon.
For sure. Well, thank you for this opportunity to present. This is my first city council meeting. So for those of you that don't know me, I am Brandon Daly, the city prosecutor. Been a prosecutor for approximately 3 years now. And Dave asked that I conduct a training on Municipal Officers and Employees Ethics Act and the Open and Public Meetings Act. I'm gonna try to share my screen here. Let's see if that works.
You don't share, you'd be in violation of what you're talking about. Right?
Exactly. All meetings are open unless they're closed.
What it says. That makes perfect sense.
And if there's 3 of us, it better be open.
There we go. Okay, just for reference, since I'm a prosecutor and I deal in the code, I like to know where it's at. So section 10, 1301 through 313. So tonight we're gonna define key terms, briefly look at, talk about prohibited conduct, look at some penalties for violations, and if you have any questions, we can discuss those at the end. So the purpose of the act is to establish standards of conduct for municipal officers and employees, require them to disclose actual and potential conflicts of interest between their duties and their personal interests. What I find interesting is in looking at the act, everything in the definition section, we have a definition for who this applies to, different things in the act, but there's no actual definition for conflict of interest.
Well, and the thing that I find interesting just from listening to that is we're elected and have to live in the community, so we automatically have a conflict of interest because everything we do affects us directly. So it's
So
kind
there's,
of
yeah, there's
catch-22.
specific instances where
you're gonna have a conflict, but if you disclose it, you're good. That's how, we'll get to that.
No avoiding that.
No avoiding that. So who does it apply to? Applies to everyone in this room that has to do with Payson City, with appointed officers, so city attorney, department heads, city manager. Applies to elected officials, elected officers, so it applies to the mayor, city council, and municipal employees, so it applies to me. And then we are gonna talk about improper disclosures. An improper disclosure means the disclosure of private, controlled, or protected information to a person that doesn't have a right to that information. The classic example is improper disclosure of stuff related to grandma. Private, controlled, and protected information is all defined in grandma. But we could have a whole other hour training on just what grandma is. And the legislature is tinkering with that in this session too. Section 1304, use of the office for personal benefit. It defines economic benefit tantamount to a gift and gives us some examples. An example of an economic benefit tantamount to a gift is compensation received for a private service rendered at a rate substantially exceeding the fair market value of the service. It can be a loan substantially lower than the commercial rate currently prevalent for similar loans. It can be to disclose the private, controlled, or protected information under grandma when someone doesn't have a right to see that. A classic example of that is someone who knows about pending litigation, pending investigation, pending anything, and they disclose it to someone that doesn't have a right or a need to know, that can be a violation. An attempt to use the officer's official position to further their one of their economic interests. Another, secure special privileges for the officer or municipal employee or for others. An example of that could be, I'm on the commission, we decide the budget, you've got charges outstanding. I'm going to go talk to the judge for you. Be careful of that. Or I'm gonna go talk to the prosecutor for you. Be careful of that, because it can be seen as a violation, using your office for personal benefit. Knowingly receive, accept, take, or speak or solicit directly or indirectly for the officer or municipal employee or for another a gift of substantial value or substantial economic benefit tantamount to the gift that would improperly influence a reasonable person in the person's position to depart from their faithful and impartial discharge of their public duties. I know that's a mouthful, but what do you guys think a gift of substantial value is?
Pretty subjective.
Pretty subjective. The code gives us an amount. You guys remember that amount?
A daily per diem allotment stated by the state of Utah.
So with it's in the code and that's permissible, but Councilwoman Hyatt, you said 50 has to be non-pecuniary. What does non-pecuniary mean? Can't be cash. So pecuniary means it has to do with money. So you can take it does not apply to an occasional non-pecuniary gift having a value of less than $50. So an example that I was thinking of for this training was, say someone takes you out to lunch at Tapatio's or something. Is lunch non-pecuniary? Yes. Is it less than $50? Yes, so that would be permissible. Prior to coming here, I used Utah County, and at the time, there was an investigation into 3 prosecutors that went to a jazz game with a defense attorney. These prosecutors and this defense attorney all went to law school together. They were friends before they had these jobs. Going to the game, they didn't think it was a big deal, but if the defense attorney gives them the tickets, are jazz tickets non-pecuniary? Okay, so there's the hitch, right? So if they're nosebleed seats, think you're okay?
These seats.
Has that number ever changed? I'm sitting here looking at this, you know, I go buy dinner for my family, it costs me more than $50 now.
Yeah, oh, yeah, it's been this way for a long time.
They should change it, but they haven't ever changed it.
But in this instance, they were lower bowl tickets, they were $240 each. And, so what do you think happened? Do you think it's a violation? It is, but just hearing that fact pattern, going 3 prosecutors going to a jazz game with a defense attorney, does that cause you a bit of concern? A little bit.
I don't know, I think that you get, once if you have an established relationship prior to any of those kind of things, then it gets really tricky. You know, what was the conversation, what was the discussion, and how was it presented to them as, hey, high school.
Buying tickets, like they go out, like they do this all the time, and it's like, oh, hey, I got tickets this time, guys.
I think because of certain positions, you give up that.
You
benefit, the
do a
optics,
little
yeah.
bit, yeah, the optics, you want to avoid the appearance of impropriety, and so. What ended up happening in that case is the investigation was ongoing. They found out the value was $240 for those tickets, and before any sanctions or anything could come down, all 3 of those prosecutors resigned. But so that's why I just using it as an example, avoid the appearance of impropriety. If you continue down that route, disclose, and we'll get to that here in a second. Can you be compensated for assisting the city in a transaction involving the city? So can you receive compensation for assistance in a transaction involving the city?
As long as it fits under subsection 9, you can.
Perfect, you're reading ahead. The answer is no, unless you disclose. And so you're gonna disclose the information required in the next section, to Kim. And, she'll post that, the requirements for that. It's a sworn statement, so it has to be an affidavit, contain the name and address of the officer, municipal employee, the name and address of the business entity being, or to be assisted. The officer or municipal employee has a substantial interest and a description of the transaction. So, when in doubt, disclose. Section 1306 governs interest in a business entity regulated by the municipality. In preparing this training,
Can I ask a question backing that up? I don't know if this is your time, but like, for instance, my wife owns a bakery and they order stuff all the time. Would that be something that needs to be disclosed every time the city orders
if
baked goods? You know what I mean?
and I think I remember seeing that in your disclosure statement,
Yes.
because you disclose it, you comply with it.
Okay. Yeah, those disclosure documents were a little bit personal. I was like, that's a new form, and I really felt like they were crossing all their T's and dotting all their I's, but.
But when the new one that came into law, there's also these disclosures, been there for a while. That's the new one that every elected official every year has to fill out.
Okay.
Yeah, like a business that your wife has, it's.
Well, and it is
She gets
just,
the business license here, so it is
It
regulated.
is regulated by the city, so it's something that would need to be
You just
disclosed.
disclose it, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it, it's just.
right, that's why I'm asking these questions, you know, and some of us up here work in the community and there's different things. Sell a house to the wrong guy, you get in trouble.
I'm gonna pick on, Councilmember Rowley, because I looked at his last and used his in the slideshow. So if people want to see that, members of the public, they go to the Payson website, click on mayor and city council. They go to the bottom where it says, disclosures, and then they can choose the different council person's, disclosure. And I was gonna use Councilman Rowley's, example, Rowley's Fruit Farm. It's obviously a business here in Payson that's regulated by Payson. He's disclosed it, he's disclosed his interest in it. He's good to go. And the city of Payson complies with the law because we've posted it online and it's accessible to the public.
And then I also put my real estate business there as well.
correct, and I think that's at the heart of it. Every legislative session, we hear from the public about developers, real estate, their interest in all the different goings-ons, and, glad that you just spoke of it, it's on there, so we're compliant. Same thing, involved in interest in business, entity doing business with the city. As an attorney, I like to highlight verbs that when an officer does business or anticipates doing business with the city in which the officer has an interest, they shall disclose the conflict with members of the body immediately before any discussion. File a sworn statement describing the conflict of interest with him again, so it can be disclosed. Same thing goes for an investment, creating a conflict of interest. Same disclosure requirements and that agreements. So my favorite part is the prosecutor, the penalties. So minor penalties.
Out by the way he put it in.
It says not may, it says shall dismiss or remove the officer or municipal employee who knowingly and intentionally violate this part of their employee or office. So knowingly and intentionally is a higher standard than recklessly. You're reckless about something that won't happen, but if you knowingly and intentionally do it, it says shall dismiss. And then the second part, may rescind or void a contract or subcontract entered into pursuant to that transaction. They could cancel the transaction that you're involved with. And then the extreme case, which I'm sure we'll never have a problem with here in Payson, is receiving or soliciting a bribe by a public servant. It can be a third-degree felony or second-degree felony. And third-degree felonies can be 0 to 5 years in prison, up to a $5,000 fine. Second-degree felony, 1 to 15 years in prison, up to $10,000 fine. But that's some pretty specific, targeted, intentionally knowing standards. So that brings us to the Open and Public Meetings Act in section 52-4 and on. The public policy behind the Open Meetings Act is the legislature's declared that the state and its agencies, including the cities, exist to aid in the conduct of the people's business. And it's the intent of the legislature, and that we take our actions openly and conduct our deliberations openly. So what does that mean? All meetings are open unless they're closed. And so a meeting is open to the public unless it's closed, and we'll get to how we close meetings and under what circumstances. But the open meetings require us to give at least 24 hours notice that shall include the date and time of the meeting, an agenda, and Kim does a great job getting that out to everyone in the city. I get those emails every week, like clockwork.
Brandon, on the place, do we just need to say Payson, or is that specific?
Payson City Hall,
Okay, so
Payson City offices, everyone knows from here, and it's on the agenda.
Is the week post was the one week before. Yeah, post where you're gonna
So, the act also talks about emergency meetings. You can hold emergency meetings, but you have to try as much as possible to, get notice out. Because sometimes emergency meetings are necessary. In order to hold an emergency meeting, the council should give the best notice practicable. Not a defined term, but I think if you can articulate efforts you've made, you're good to go. That articulates the time and place of the emergency meeting, the topics to be considered, and that a majority of the members of the public body approve the meeting, so it has to be approved by a majority of the council.
I think that would be fairly easy to do in our modern day and age. Send out a mass text, mass phone call. We could leave about me.
Yeah, I don't think we've had to do that here since I've been here, but we've been close a few times, and the fire in 2018. And you get something like that, or if we had an earthquake or something, we may have to meet without giving the proper notice. But so far we haven't had any use that, but it's in there in case you need to do it.
It's in there, yeah, and I like that with the text messages and emails, you have a record, something you can point to that you can find it.
So I have a question. So with our weekly DRC meetings, the mayor's usually on. Brian Hewlett's usually on. Every once in a while, Teresa or Ryan will get on as well. At what point does that become a problem, having? Does the mayor count with two council members as a quorum?
I don't get involved automatically.
No.
Okay, so.
Well, with that's not their meeting.
Okay,
It's our staff meeting. They're
So DRC doesn't matter, they could all be on DRC and it wouldn't matter.
Well, that's how we get away with going to like the gala and to things like that, events, is it's not our meeting, so we really don't have any power in that meeting.
Okay. I was just curious.
Yeah.
Oh, good question.
So then closed meeting, maybe held when a quorum is present. It has to be an open meeting for which notice has been given, and then 2/3 of the members of the body approved to close the meeting. Examples of subjects to cover in a closed meeting. You're gonna discuss the character, professional competence, or physical or mental health of an individual. Strategy sessions to discuss collective bargaining. Strategy sessions to discuss pending or reasonably imminent litigation. Purchases, exchanges, leases of real property. There's a whole list. I won't read it all. Do you have any questions on whether it should be public or closed?
there's a lot more than there used to be. There just used to be 4, but selling property or purchasing property or imminent litigation or the professional competence of an individual. Those are the 4 that we've used. We don't have a collective bargaining, but they have that in there. There's one in there that talks about public safety and stuff. We haven't used that. That's one that we could use, but mostly it's for those 4, talk about the professional competence of an individual, or buy or sell property. You want to be able to talk about that freely in a session that's not out in public.
What's an example of a collective bargaining?
So,
Go ahead.
that might not be an issue after this legislative session. They just outlawed it.
That's
Oh.
Yeah, the legislature's using that, but the bigger cities like.
I'd be really surprised if that doesn't go through.
Salt Lake City Fire Department, they have a union.
Oh, for unions, yeah,
they
yeah,
go in
that's
and-
right,
they go in
okay.
and bargain for an agreement for pay and other things like that. We don't have that.
That's why we have checks and balances in this
Yeah.
country, is so that gives them, I'd be surprised if you can go to court.
And then the parts that interest me is the prosecutor with our, like Dave said, security issues, discussing deployment of security personnel, devices, or systems. Public doesn't need to know who our undercover officers are,
Mhm.
where cameras and stuff are. And then investigations, proceedings regarding allegations of criminal conduct, which can be under a closed meeting. The only things that were in the act that you can't disclose or can't discuss in a closed meeting. You can't interview a person applying to fill an elected position, discuss filling a midterm vacancy or temporary absence, discuss the character, professional competence, or physical or mental health of the person whose name was submitted for consideration to fill a midterm vacancy or temporary absence.
These only done open.
That's have to be done open.
When we fill a, council position, it has to be.
Yeah, like when it's an open job interview, it's kind of an awkward conversation. It really don't have to be.
You can't go into a closed session to talk about candidates. That's one thing.
I wish there was one there that said we could narrow it from a primary to narrow it down to 3 or 4 in a private meeting and then go from there. If they made it to the public, it'd be nice. That's just my impression from the ones that we've done in the past.
I have an interesting balance, so we can't talk about that, but then you go to a closed meeting and talk about competence of character.
Yeah, but to fill an elected position, they won't let you.
Public should know who. Yeah, right, who they're elected, right?
Yeah, well, they're not really electing them, they're just being appointed by elected officials.
Tantamount to elected one.
Yeah.
Position.
Just like I said, just be nice to narrow it from like 15 down to 4, so you don't have an 8-hour public meeting. We can narrow the bill a little faster than that, so.
The last major point that I'm gonna cover tonight is, can't predetermine, an action. So individuals constituting a forum or public body may not act together outside the meeting in a concerted and deliberate way to predetermine an action to be taken by the public body, on a relevant matter. So can't have a forum, predetermine what you're gonna do before you get there. That's prohibited. People have taken it too far the other way. There is another part in the act that mentions that obviously they want you to talk about stuff together, so you can send emails and text messages back and forth. But you just can't, act together outside a meeting in a concerted, deliberate way to predetermine an action. You want it open and publicly debated and talked about.
So like we have a group text, right? And sometimes we'll discuss issues. That's okay as long as we're not saying, hey, I'm going to vote this way or trying to convince other people. Where do we draw the line there?
Well, you can't get 2 or 3 other people to say, hey, I'm gonna vote this way. You're trying to get them and you're not involving everyone else.
If the conversation includes all 5 of us, the
Includes
conversation
everyone.
can include all 5 of us. When it's
You're not trying
3
to-
of us, then it's a little bit.
Yeah, siphon off a couple people
It's
to
the
vote your
optics.
way and not tell other members.
Okay.
The mayor one-on-one can talk with the individual council, right?
Yeah,
And we can talk one-on-one with each other, we just can't go into cahoots to
that's what it's trying to prevent.
overthrow something.
Yeah.
Just for the word cahoots.
That could be grammar.
Yeah. It's a very fine line when you're.
Yeah, when in doubt, don't put it in writing.
Yes.
Have a group FaceTime instead,
It's a very fine.
and don't record it.
Very cool.
Yeah, don't say anything that you wouldn't want read out loud.
Yeah, that's a tough one to teach the younger generation.
Yeah.
They write
Online,
everything
it's
there,
Yeah.
like you morons.
But
They miss a lot of punctuation.
Yeah.
Don't use a period, they'll think they know about it.
Now that we know that there's an effects group, we'll grab them.
I know it used to be, it was all caps, but now it's like, yeah, why are you yelling at me? Like, what are you talking about? You used a period.
Thank you.
that's all I have for
Double time
today.
safe,
If there's
anybody
anything,
that's on that.
if you have any
Okay.
questions or anything comes up in the future, contact me or Dave or, be happy to answer it for you. And if you ever have any questions about crime in Payson City, let me know. I can do the pulse and the heartbeat of what's going on in Payson. So thank you.
It's like that.
Okay, council, I guess I'm ready for a motion for adjournment.
I'll make that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, we're adjourned.